It has been 1 year since school closed down due to the dangerous COVID pandemic, but along with COVID-19, a new disease is on the rise. You see people affected by this condition every day. It is called Zoom forehead syndrome. Every day, hundreds of students are showing only their foreheads in class. Just like COVID-19, this disease also has its own abbreviation. It is called ZFS20. Side effects of ZFS20 include lack of facial expression, trouble engaging in class, and teachers marking you absent. If you or someone you know has been afflicted by Zoom forehead syndrome, treatment is available. Studies show that lowering one's camera by 2 inches or changing the laptop screen angle can immediately cure all symptoms of ZFS20. Side effects of lowering your camera include better engagement in class activities, higher levels of focus, and not being invisible. You are not alone. Many other people have seen complete remission of ZFS20 side effects just by lowering their cameras. Get help now.
I choose.
I choose to lower my camera to stop the effects of ZFS20.
Ask your teacher if lowering your camera is right for you.